When I was still writing my book, I did an event at a festival with Jude Claybourne, and it was very improvised. And afterwards, I asked my friend Ben Spencer to film an interview with Jude, which is coming up. And this might seem very self-referential. It is. But what I found was that by having the external view of what had happened, by having Ben talk to Jude about what we'd done, I saw it through new eyes. And watching the video and listening to what Jude said about that hour-long improvised session that we did, I realised so much about my own project and about my book. And actually, if you listen closely, she says a couple of times the words that I then later on decided to make the final words of my book. And the words were, "It was so good to be surprised."
He said he had this slot to do something at this literary festival. And would I like to come along and be part of this hour that we didn't know what it was going to be? And of course, yes, I wanted to be that. So I started to interview him as a journalist about his book. And I loved it because he was really open to making himself look a little bit bad.
Yeah, yeah.
So he came across quite glib on purpose, and we gave each other permission to surprise each other. So I put him on the spot a bit and made him look even glibber, which was really funny. and then the journalist kicks off and gives him a hard time about the whole, "Oh, isn't it great she lost 17 children?" And so I kind of kicked off and said, "Why are you being so? That's not just a story. Just think about it." And it was, audience was really like, real loads of tension and people holding their breath, and it was so delightful.
It's funny because he told me about the beginning and how you were sort of kind of massaging his ego and talking about the brilliant books that he's written, and then it suddenly flips.
Yeah.
And he said he felt actually really uncomfortable when you were sort of massaging his ego.
Yeah.
And then he felt really put on the spot. So it's interesting. It's sort of it's kind of like that sense of allowing yourself to be vulnerable in front of an audience, I think, which sounds like it just was amazing for the audience to watch this.
I think it was, and
Yeah.
what was fascinating was the divisions. So some people in the audience, I'll say half and half, I don't know if that's true, half the audience were kind of like, yes, because he was being really glib.
Yeah.
And half the audience was like, oh my God, she's really embarrassing the whole, oh God, I wish she'd just stop. She's got the wrong end of the stick, she's been really aggressive. And it was so juicy to see the audience buy into it to such an extent.
And also, it's obvious you could feel what the audience were feeling as well. You were getting strong responses from them, obviously.
We were getting strong responses during it, and also afterwards, lots of people kind of rushed up to us and said, that was, what was that?
Really, yeah.
yeah. Not what was that in a, but just like, wow, that was a whole journey.
They weren't expecting it.
Because then...
Well, I was going to ask you,
Yeah.
So and so did you break the illusion of you being a journalist after this kind of bit, or were you always a journalist?
Well, it depends on whose mind you're talking, because some of them came up to me and said, "Do you really live in Germany?" Because I said,
really? Yeah.
I said, I live in Germany, and it's wonderful. That's why I haven't been on the scene so much. And JP, your book really inspired me to do what I really want to do, which was to go. And so they all believed that.
Yeah.
But in fact, JP then explained that this was a farce.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah.
But not very much. He just said, okay, so blah blah blah, and then he named me as Fenella, his coach. You've spoken to. And said, so I spoke to my coach, and then he turns and he says Fenella, and then I changed my accent, my posture, and then we have a conversation as Fenella, and we did a kind of improvised version of his coaching session. And so they were watching that, and then we broke that and talked about improv from ourselves and what improv's good and coaching, because we're both improvisers and we're both coaches with the same background.
Yeah.
And that was us speaking as us. So I didn't have any different accent, and I was speaking. And then
Mm.
we introduced the idea of how improv can make things real, and we've got a couple of people up for the audience to represent the two successors to the throne.
Brilliant.
Which was interesting
Yeah.
for the audience, and they kind of like, And then we said, right, the main egg that we were there to present was Queen Anne being coach.
Yeah.
So then we said, we're going to do this.
Mm.
So I was Queen Anne in the chair, and then we said, but before that, what we're going to do is we're just going to get people up to represent the children.
Mm.
Because it's such a big thing, and it's so easy to just forget, because we're having a nice time now, and we've had a laugh.
Mm.
So we invited one person up to be the 4 children stillborn,
Yeah.
or that didn't go to term, and then another person to represent those who got to infanthood, and another one for those who got to toddlers, and then one to represent the one that got to 11 years old. And as they came up, I was Queen Anne, and I kind of held their hand when they came up, I don't know why, and I was just weeping. And it was so powerful, it's so good to be surprised.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the coaching session itself was the only bit for me that was a bit clunky, because maybe it would have been better if I hadn't, there's certain things that I said that didn't need saying, and we didn't explore like we would in a real coaching session, possibly. But the impact of the whole thing, because as I was having this coaching session, there's these 4 people standing behind me.
Presence,
so the audience have this image.
That's very powerful. Did that come spontaneously? Was that an idea that happened during the event, or?
So we had 5 post-it notes, basically. So all of the ideas, the core ideas we had, and a sense of the order that we'd like to do things in. We didn't know if we'd fit things in, and we kind of made an agreement that we'd just flow with each other if something else happened. And I'd forgotten that he was going to get people up, and then when he did, I was thinking, we're quite short of time, and I think we've done that, and I was thinking, this isn't going to be this isn't really worth doing. And then they start to come up, and it
hit you. Yeah.
It's not often, even in improvisation, and especially not in acting, I've found that I'm actually properly surprised.
Yeah.
And really blown away by what's happening, and my breath taken away.
Yeah.
It really was.
Yeah.
Such a joy to do.
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? Because I think that is, such a main theme of the book that John-Paul's written, Queen Anne's Children.
Yeah.
And the sort of curse that she felt had been put on her by her dad, but then it's easy to sort of pass on by if you and not fully sort of understand or get inside what that must have been like.
Imagine it now.
Yeah.
Imagine getting a copy of Take a Break.
Yeah.
I gave birth to 17 children.
Yeah.
Not one of them's alive.
Yeah.
That would be a big thing. But
Yeah.
if you imagine 300 years ago.